So hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube tutorial from me here at TDW. I'm Michael Ingledew and I'm all about making you successful with your technical documentation strategy, specifically in the aerospace, defence and space sectors. Now, one of the questions that I get asked frequently, and I've done a couple of blogs on this over the last couple of weeks, is the appropriateness of investing in and buying tools. And I've done a blog on the text editors and the need for text editors, and I've also done a role of the CSDB blog as well. Now, but it's also important that we look at the other side of this discussion. And the other side of this discussion is that there's more to life than just S1000D. And what I mean by that is that often our vendor community tends to forget that as technical publications professionals, we are having to manage content that is much broader and much wider than just the domain niche production requirements of S1000D. And in the blog article that's available over on Tech Data World and S1000D World is that, you know, I've been involved in a lot of consultancies over the last few years where content that has been around for a very long time is still very valuable to our organizations and is still maintained and is still deployed and is still something that is valuable to our organization. Now, technical publications, whether we like it or not, is a byproduct of the major platform that we're building. We're actually, I mean, we don't just go and invent the need for technical publications. We are here to solve a problem. And we can be asked to produce anything from small installation cards right the way up through to maybe some health and safety kind of posters or anything in between, right the way up to a full-blown S1000D IETP. Now, in our market, platforms tend to last anything sort of north of 20, 30 years. They can be in service for a very, very long time. And that means that if we actually move backwards, some of us are still supporting platforms that have been around for 20, 30 years time, and they're still planned to be around for maybe the next 5, 10, 15 years. You know, we see all the time that products and projects are extended and extended. And what does that mean from a technical publications perspective is that a lot of us are having to maintain technical manuals that have been around for well before structured languages were a thing, certainly well before S1000D was a thing. And, you know, we still have to manage, maintain, control and deliver this content. And the reality with that is that often when we are now being asked to support things like S1000D, we are going out and having to buy the tools and the capability and the know-how for us to be able to do that. But sometimes our vendor community forgets that we still have to support all of this legacy way of doing things, this old way of doing things. And I hate using the word legacy content because legacy itself has a kind of a mental picture that we may all drum up because that content is still very, very valuable, as I said. And the problem that we have is that we have to go out and buy a solution that will support the S1000D requirements. But we often also have to consider those old file formats, those old production methodologies that we are still having to support today. So the CSDB community often forgets this and very, very blinkered focuses on the S1000D requirement and doesn't actually consider all of these old PageMaker, old unstructured FrameMaker, old legacy Word documents, anything along those lines that we may still need to manage and control. So often when we go out to the market looking for an S1000D capability, we're also always looking out for how we can manage our existing content in the same unified system. We don't want to have multiple systems that are having to support our legacy content over here and we're having to support our new funky XML content over here. We would like one system that does the whole thing. So the CSDB vendors that are being successful are those that actually manage the whole aspect of our modern technical information requirements. And go and read the blog. I give a little story in there about how I was involved in a workshop recently where they were talking about technical manuals from the 70s that were still being used, maintained and deployed today. And I would be interested to hear how you are managing your S1000D content with your legacy content, with your, I hate that word legacy, but I still use it, is that, you know, how are you managing all of that? Are you managing it in your CSDB? Is your CSDB also a content management system? I'd be very, very keen to hear that. On a side note, I have been running on our website up until, we'll run it for probably another week or two. We've been doing a little survey on the type of content that you want from us here at TDW, and it seems that in the main you want more software tutorials, you want more tips and tricks around using things like XML and S1000D, and you have asked for Thursday Thoughts to come back. A lot of you are saying that you were using Thursday Thoughts to keep up to date with what was going on in the market. So we are going to reintroduce Thursday Thoughts. It's going to be a monthly Thursday Thoughts, and it's going to be recorded like this, but it will also be made into a podcast. So that means that if you want access to that content, please go ahead and download our TDW app and get access to all of our content before we make it live on our social channels. I'm Michael Ingledew. I'm all about making you successful with your technical information strategies.